Hey, hey, y'all. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for not hating me because I'm just going to believe that you don't hate me for being late, so very late. It's all my fault. But truthfully, I wouldn't have it any other way. And I'll get into that in a second. Um, Before I get into that, though, happy Thursday. Happy last show of February, last show of Black History Month. I will admit, I'm admitting everything, y'all. Also that I'm tired. Let me say that. So I'm probably sounding like draggy, but bear with me. However you take that. I don't think like drag queen. It draggy as in like tired, drained, low energied, but happy. Like it's fulfilling when you're drained from a good thing. I'll get into that again. Um, but I have definitely been tripping and slipping on like sharing like a history of moments of racial injustice of all months, right? Black History Month, crazy. Um, and I guess my backwards thinking when I thought about this randomly driving recently, I was just driving and thinking like, I guess if any month to take a break from it would be Black History Month because that's where we really pour in and dive in and we share these moments on the B Mix all year long. I really enjoy them. I enjoy bringing them up. Why is it saying? Okay, no, sorry. My phone was looking like it was like on a call or something. Yeah, anywho. So happy all of that. Happy toward the end. We only have 4 more days left in Black History Month. Shout out to the fact that this show is dedicated to my youngest nephew, Marcellus II. I love you. He is 3 years old today. And why I am drained is because we're coming from his birthday party. And why I'm drained and late. And so I knew it was going to run kind of tight. I have been running all day long, y'all. And so here I am, but it was supposed to work out. I will say that it was supposed to work out. It wasn't necessarily a rock solid plan, but it was for the most part a pretty decently solid plan. I digress. Welcome and welcome back to another episode of the B Mix right here only on BigSpoolsRadio.com. You already know who Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time are for. Everyone, the unseen, the unheard, the overlooked, the forgotten, whether it be the forgotten part of you or for the person that does not belong anywhere, me, be. So welcome. And so usually right here is where I would welcome our very special, always special, no matter how many times she has returned, because I am grateful and we are grateful for her every time. And so here is where I would usually welcome in Jasmine Russell, Queen Me. I know she doesn't want to be called by that, but I'm just going to throw her brand out there anyway. And just the guru of, all things, self-love, I don't know, just the self-love queen is really what I've always referred to her as. And so she will, and for no horrible reasons, I'm trying to be sure that I choose my words carefully because I don't want to just announce like she will no longer be joining us and y'all be like, oh, what happened? I was fighting. Like, I don't want y'all thinking no drama because that should not be the first thing that comes to mind anyway here on the B Mix. Like when we hear of things that have shifted, that are different, I would hope that we have cultivated such an environment, such an atmosphere here that we don't automatically go to the negative side of things. I want to really hope that. And that's what I'm going to believe, actually. I'm going to believe in the very thing that I hope and trust in the hope and the belief that I have. Amen. So, but she just will, from as far as I know, henceforth, be having a scheduling conflict. And so will not be able to give us her undivided attention on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. So we wish her all of the well wishes, all of the warm love and hugs to all future endeavors. And y'all know I'm going to be shouting out here anyway. So you're going to be hearing all about her. Don't even worry about that. So Jasmine, we love you, girl. And so I want to get into, because I'm late, and again, tired and exhausted, and I definitely have to get up first thing in the morning. No plays about that. So, y'all, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't rushing the show, but I'm counting down the pennies, okay? Counting down the seconds till I can say peace, okay? All right. I ain't gonna rush it though, because I do enjoy my time here with y'all. I really, really do. Don't ever think that you're the last thing on my mind. That's okay. It couldn't be farthest from the truth, okay? Oh shoot, I went to my notes and I actually want to share what I just said. Why I went to Facebook, I don't know. Why I have all these other apps open when I had everything just set to go straight to it. Okay, so I know I was just saying that I've been slipping all month, but I at least would like to, I guess, end right the month by being Black History Month, with the last week or the last Thursday within Black History Month, to end that with one. I believe I shared one at the beginning of the month. I'm not sure. I know I went to intro it and then got away from it a couple of times. At least if I never introed it to you all, I had one prepared every week though. That's what's crazy. So things were just juicy. My mind was probably all crazy. Crazy is what I said. Yes, like array, disarray, like it was a crazy. And so yeah. But I want to share this here. So on this day, February 24th, in 1865, Kentucky refuses to ratify abolition of slavery. I'm actually going to read this plaque and then read you the entire story, because the good thing is I'm not saying I'm cheating, because again, I'll admit I'm admitting all my flaws tonight, y'all, all the ones that come to mind. Because if I admitted all of them, we'd be here much longer than I have the energy to. But what was I gonna say? Oh man. I have not ordered the calendar yet, y'all. And before the end of this month, I will be sure to do that. I am proud of myself, though. I have definitely supported some Black businesses, of course. But yeah, I feel like I've slipped on what I would usually do. So yeah, because I think actually, I know last year I didn't come into the new year with the calendar. I think I bought it like in February, which, okay. Anywho's, but I shouldn't say this, but I don't really have the brain power to shut myself off of saying something I probably should not say tonight. So I will say that in the beauty of low-key like cheating and getting off wine, which I've convinced myself as of recently, like right before we went live, actually, that this is probably like from the calendar from last year or something, which I'm totally okay with. But either who, the point is that I actually get like the full thing. So not full thing, but more of a blurb, right, of the story. Whereas on the calendar, I'm just showing you, this is December. On the calendar, there are, like short little, and then you may have one that's highlighted here. So you kind of get all of this for each day online. Now, I hope that I'm not doing any disservice to him by, I ain't gonna say I'm encouraging y'all, but just shouting that out. Because at least, that's hits to their website, and hopefully that means you invest in other things that they have to offer. Okay, without further ado, a history of racial injustice brought to us by Equal Justice Initiative, also known as EJI. Again, I'm going to read the plaque here. So, slavery in Fayette County. On the northeast corner of the Fayette County Courthouse. Yes, Maui, you want to get up here? Come on, before I get back into reading. Yes? Okay, well, no? Okay, changed his mind. Maui says Black Power, so, okay. Yes? Yes? Did you? Okay, Maui, we're not going to, okay. Didn't I say I didn't have the, I don't have it. I don't have the energy. Everybody wins in here tonight. Okay. Okay, we're going to start from the beginning. Slavery in Fayette County. On the northeast corner of the Fayette County Courthouse lawn stood the whipping post, established in 1847 to punish slaves for such offenses as being on the streets after 7 p.m. Fayette County was one of the largest slave-holding counties in Kentucky. By 1860, 1 in 4 residents of the city of Lexington were slaves. Oh, wow. And that plaque is presented by the Lexington Alumni Chapter Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity. So that's like the picture. So just like, again, I'll show you on the calendar, where there's like a picture. So, for the month, there's always something, and like a photograph, and then a photo here for like I'll say like the highlighted blurb, right, for the month. So that's the picture for this. That's what I just read you. It's a picture of that plaque. And so to share this. So remember, keep in mind as I read this, that again, this for today is dated back in 1865 for that plaque I just read. That's why I paused a couple times in it. I was kind of doing some mental math. And so talking about the whipping post that was established in 1847, this day, this moment of a history of racial injustice is dated for 1865. So a little shy, it was 18 years, but a little shy of 20 years. And then 5 years prior to the date and year of this moment of a history of racial injustice, then that's when it talks about the 4 residents 1 in 4 residents of the city of Lexington were slaves. So a lot of them. Okay, cool. Reading. On February 24th, 1865, the Kentucky General Assembly refused to endorse the end of slavery in America when it voted against ratification of the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery except as punishment for crime. As the Civil War began in 1861, Kentucky, a border state, remained in the Union, but the state's legislature did not fully support President Abraham Lincoln on his Republican administration because lawmakers worried that Lincoln would abolish slavery. Throughout 1861, President Lincoln assured Kentuckians he had no intention of interfering with the state's domestic institutions. In March, the best month of the year, 1862, President Lincoln proposed a plan of gradual emancipation for the border states, offering to compensate enslavers who freed the Black people they enslaved. When the congressional delegations for the border states turned down that offer, President Lincoln issued a draft Emancipation Proclamation in September 1862 and signed the final version on January 1st, 1863. Was that September? Is that 4 months? Okay, September to 62, January to 63, which applied only to enslaved people in states that were in rebellion and thus allowed for enslavement to continue in Kentucky, along with Maryland, Delaware, Missouri, and Tennessee, as well as portions of Virginia and Louisiana that were occupied by the Union. Last part, y'all, I promise. Kentucky legislatures continue to oppose all efforts to abolish slavery in the coming years, and on February 24th, 1865, the Kentucky General Assembly rejected the 13th Amendment. Prominent politicians and other public figures harshly criticized President Lincoln and members of Congress, and the Kentucky legislature expressed their disapproval of the amendment's adoption by politically siding with the former Confederacy throughout the post-Civil War era. Kentucky did not officially adopt the 13th Amendment until 1976. That, my beautiful, beautifully melanated, beautiful brown and Black people and all others, is your moment of a history of racial injustice. Again, brought to you by Equal Justice Initiative, also known as EJI. Was that not a mouthful? Was that not heavy? I was about to say there's nothing to say to that, as in like that gave a very good, to a ugly situation, but a very good synopsis of that, and just highlighting Kentucky's stupidity. Rebellion. I'm sorry. Let's stay there. Rebellion. Excuse me. So there you have it. So shout out to Kentucky. Thank you, Kentucky, for finally giving up on that. Moving on. So just let that kind of marinate there, re-listen to that, re-review that, and have that conversation. Talk about it. Talk about your feelings and your thoughts around it. And really, at some point, put yourself in a place, listen, constant stupidity, okay? Constant. Amen. Thank you, Monty. Like I wanted to go in and be like, aren't they so stupid? But I'm trying not to. So shout out to any viewers in Kentucky. Especially our ones of the beautifully brown melanated Black hues. But even if you are not so blessed to have this beautiful brown skin, you're in Kentucky, shout out to you. And I hope that you know your history of your state and of the racism, because that is exactly why we do not understand how it is that, and I will just say you all, right? So shoe fits. Step into it and wear it. If it does not, let it fly. But how it is that you all and your people still function and operate as our oppressors, meaning that you've already suppressed our history. You've done that forever. Oppressed us, suppressed our history. And that, yes, Mommy's trying to talk about some things here. Is that all right? Maui agrees. So, you've oppressed us as people. You have suppressed our history. And and, you know, you continue, like, I mean, I'm not trying to rhyme or anything, but, you know, you can continue to depress us in such a way that, you know, it doesn't, you don't even allow us to just, I don't even know if it's necessarily that you need to admit it. Yes, it actually is. Because I was about to say, at the least, walk in the fact that it has happened and that it was a horrific experience that we clearly still, as a people, Maui, yes, that we as a people still have not healed from, because you will not allow us to. Are we looking here? It goes back to the beginning of the B mix when we talked about, you know, our clear list of demands. That, you know, are we necessarily looking for you to, this is going, I had a time, not really, I didn't really have a topic for this week, y'all. But I do have some notes, but probably won't get to those truthfully. Either way. So, you know, we're not necessarily, I'm gonna say it. So I don't believe that we should necessarily be looking for just, I'm going to use the word freely, I mean, loosely, like a free handout, right? But there are different things and ways that you all could definitely still just like, you know what, listen, we understand that our forefathers, right, ours, not y'all's, you know, really did some messed up things, like horrible things that we've adopted, we continue to practice still. And I know that takes a lot of self-work within the folks that are not as melanated as us, right? And so, and pigmented as us. And so, I get that, you know, just automatically. So this is in a more general stance that whoever you come across that has hurt you, or that could potentially, or that you already feel some resistance, rebellion, or whatever toward just whatever dynamic you may have been trying to build. So again, this is always, you know, this always applies to friend, family, dating, whomever, right? Work, different communities that you're involved in. If you feel any resistance or rebellion, you know, it takes more work than you may even be admitting to yourself at the moment, because it takes for them to do a lot more work, I'm sure, on themselves, because at least you are in a place where you can recognize and acknowledge the fact that there is an issue, that there is something to work with. Yes.
I'm just sitting here thinking as you're expounding on this, like that word, but anyway.
I love it.
And it just popped in my head to ask this question of you, to see what your opinion is on this. Because in the midst of looking back on slavery and knowing our biological sense of being back then, knowing that we aren't in today's body. In today's body, a lot of us are obese, disease-ridden, heart disease, whether it's heart disease, diabetes, whatever the case may be, which was, I believe, a sense to make us weaker today.
Yes. Yes.
Which is why those foods were introduced to us to make us weaker today.
Yeah.
But back then, we weren't weak. We were probably the healthiest that we could ever thought of being. Muscular, fit, strong.
To withstand the heat. Trust me, we
withstand the heat. Pain wasn't an issue. I mean, they were rolling their titties up in sticks.
Okay, now come on, man. I still do that too.
It's a joke, but it's not a joke. It was serious. That's what they did in tribal nations. They did that kind of thing. They were trying to get rid of pain. That was the whole point of it. What your tolerance level could be, right? Now, put yourself in that mindset for why you did not defend yourself against this oppression.
That's it right there.
You see what I'm saying?
No,
there was strength in going along with this. You know what I'm saying? Yes. I don't know if it was supposed to be like a coup de grace, that we were going to let you do this and then overwhelm you with our strength, but we forgot about the mission. You see what I'm saying? Because when we came across those boats, we were still strong, strapped down to those boats, and then they got us out of the boats. Why didn't we do an upheaval?
So right, you know? And so what it's literally right in your question and right in the way.
Yeah, we were warriors. That was That's what we were. We captured us because we were warriors,
right? And what I want to believe, and it's not, we always, and I think most of us now are just on this wave of really like paying homage to, and obviously we've always been taught to respect, our ancestors and the deceased and things, and so it's never about like disrespect. But when I say this, I do stand by it. And so just in hearing how you introed the question and posed the question, that it must mean, and it doesn't even necessarily mean that I want to believe this, but it's just like, I don't know what else there's left to believe, that it must mean that as we were more physically fit and healthier, again, physically, that we must have been mentally weak. And so now here we are in such a movement, right? So quite a few rollovers of generations, that you're absolutely right. Like, we are physically weaker compared to, back then. I would totally, I haven't even read anything anywhere to say that, but I'm totally behind that, because I think it's just common sense, right? It's obvious. And
it has to be common
especially
sense,
as Americans, right?
Tell that the whites, even in their nature, they were not physically fit. They were all alcoholics.
They were smaller than us.
They were all alcoholics. All they did was drink wine and beer and all that kind of stuff. They were alcoholics. All of them. There was not one that weren't.
Right.
And it just seems like either we were defeated spiritually,
and I was getting,
because again, that's where we adopt this religion of Christianity from, is from them, because that's not what the Africans practice, right? And I totally understand that. I hear that. And so that's why I believe in two things, because I was going to get to the spiritual part. So those are my two answers. So I feel like mentally and spiritually, that's where the weakness lied. And so now, right, so that is such a movement of getting us as a people to embrace the idea of becoming, because we still are not, but becoming mentally stronger, right? Taking more control over our minds and shifting our thoughts and being able to align our thoughts in order to get us back with what you said of like, was it the fact that this was, that we lost sight of the mission? That is the downfall of the Black people, of the Black and brown people. We continuously, we rise at some point, and it's just a small wave, but we rise, right? Which is why I said that. Remember, we were talking about this a couple months ago, where I had said to you that we weren't taken. Right. Remember that. We were not snatched. We were not stolen. We were put into slavery by being purchased from the kings and queens of Africa. Unfortunately. That is not, because I do believe if it came to a fight, even though they had those guns, we still would have won. The strength was not coming to our land. Absolutely. Being outnumbered. Yeah. Just in the way we would function, the way we, it's still literally in our DNA to be, and as humans, period, but definitely as Black and brown people from the motherland, the fact that automatically, we have this sense of survival. So if nothing else, we would have, been like, I don't understand. I don't know who these niggas are. I don't know what this little gun thing they got in their hand, but we're going to fight, right? All right. And which is our problem here in this country. We always adopt lies into truth. We adopt the lie into truth. And we were told by maybe an ancestor that we were stolen from our country. And we were not stolen. We were purchased.
And the white people ran with that. Like, if we're going to teach you a little history, okay, we'll give them that. Yeah, we came in, because then they feel, that's the thing, like they will feel like they're giving us our reparations in a way of like, hey, we taught you a little bit your history. You didn't. You gave us lies. You didn't even look into it well enough to be able.
And if you look into that, we are actually not due reparations.
Thank you.
Because we were purchased.
That's my point. And here's the thing. I could hear if they said that to us, right? Because that would tell me automatically you did your research. You did some dig deep in. You did some digging deep. I said dig deep in. Some digging deep, and in order to come to that conclusion, even if I didn't agree, even if I was one of the people that did not agree with it, I don't truly believe, not even that, and I've never thought of it in that aspect of, we're not even due reparations, but I can honestly get behind that. What I've always thought is I'm not looking forward to the white man to just give me a handout. I'm never looking forward to it, because truthfully, it's never really going to happen. Because anything that he gives us anyway is not really a give. It's like but do this and do this.
And it was always the question too. It was always the question now, even today, who owes us this reparation?
Right. That's the question.
And if you think about that, them kings and queens back then owe you the reparations, because they made a mint off of selling you.
And if we go back,
that money that they purchased you for, they owe to you.
Right. And were we not the ones that had them as slaves at some point? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then it switched around. So, I mean, listen, either way.
That's why everybody has that question. Well, who is the one that's supposed to give those reparations? It can't be the slaves, because even when they came here to this country, they then sold you to someone else. Mm-hmm. Like they brought the slaves in the ships and brought them here. Yeah. Those were not your owners.
I was about to say, they did not come over and say, hey, these are mine.
Yes,
I went
they
over
were your resellers. They were the resellers.
Exactly.
They was the vendors selling to other people.
They were literally, they were the Amazon.
Exactly.
They were the Amazon.
Exactly. And they put you on the selling block to sell you to other, I was about to say natives, other white people here in this country, because you were sold and then sold again and then sold again and then sold again.
Absolutely.
Constantly sold. And then when you had babies, they were sold.
Absolutely. And in the process, and so this is where it goes to a spiritual or automatic, everything is spiritual. So and y'all know I will never get away from, just, and I say preaching, use that word loosely right now, but and preaching the fact that, and knowing, because I firmly believe and understand that we are spiritual creatures first and then made, flesh. And so everything has a spiritual component to it. So sometimes I'll say like, oh, you got to introduce the spiritual piece to it. It's always spiritual. There's spiritual, spirituality in it all. And so the spiritual aspect of it is the mere fact that, yes, that is where we were introduced to slavery. So that, introduced to Christianity. And so even in that though, are there lies into it? Because that's where we were told of this blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus, right? He saved us. He's our white savior in this. And so they resembled him, and so of course they must be our saviors, but yet they're our oppressors. And so this spiritual mindfuck, basically,
brainwash tactic,
right? Brainwash tactic, like unfortunately easily took over us, because we were somewhere just not in a place where we were mentally sound, spiritually sound. We were spiritual creatures. We were practicing and functioning. Oh my gosh, let me take this bracelet off because this just made me mad. It's my little sweater. It just snagged me, so now it looks like I'm dripping milk. But we were not sound enough spiritually and mentally in order to repel against, repel and rebel against, and like that's why a lot of folks and a lot of us ask this question, and that it's taken us. I'm not going to say that no one has ever asked these questions, but that as far as I have heard, and it's like clearly it's not as well known. So meaning it's not as many people that have done so that have asked, well, why is it that our ancestors did not fight back? Why? So there's something there. There's still a piece of the truth that we're missing, which is probably that piece, not probably, that is that piece of the fact that we were given, to our buyer, to the folks that came to snatch us. Like, it was like, okay, there's a little agreement here. Listen, let me talk to you real quick, chief. Boom, king, queen. Yes. All right. Bet. Got these. Thanks. And so we don't want to, and I know when it's iffy situations, when it comes to death, when it comes to, I don't know, things like mothers, when it comes to children, when it comes to slavery, when it comes to Holocaust, everything's so overly sensitized that it completely disables our ability to really dig deep and get into the truths about things. And the fact that we don't want to discuss
question always, and I've always said that to everybody that I come across. So when you want racial justice, not injustice, but racial justice, what is it that you want?
Right.
What are you looking for?
Exactly. What
is it that you aspire to accomplish? What is the end result?
Exactly. You have to consider the end result, and no, we don't know where we're going, but you should have an idea, right? You don't know where you're going to land. You don't know where you're going to end up, but you should have an idea of where you're aiming to in order to be able to ask for what it is that you need and that you want right now. You cannot make any demands. You're damn sure not going to make any commands in not knowing where it is that you want to go. So as a people, that's why I always think of the fact of like on the news where they, unfortunately, how many times have we all watched the news and been like, Lord, they didn't ask Uncle Billy. Lord have mercy. He cocked tooth and knock-eyed. Please, he can't get no words together, and they're going to ask him what happened, right? It makes me think of that exact scenario, and that is what we look like, right? As a people, out here just yelling and demand, because we want this. Do we actually? You may, and yes, you may be a part of our community. You might identify as a part of our community, but that is not what we want, or is it even what we need? And then even when we go back to, what did you say earlier? oh shoot, I can't think of it. I was on a daggone roll. My brain just shifted left. But it was just a part of the fact that just still to that point that we cannot make any demands yet because we don't know. Oh, there it is. Of who is it that owes us? And if you ask me, the answer to that is it is we that owe ourselves. Mm-hmm. And it is we that must do the work in order to repair and repay ourselves. That should be typical. Mm-hmm. If you are not working on yourself, you are doing a huge disservice to yourself, to the community, to your family, to your neighborhood, to your, what I already said, hood. So to your block, your neighborhood, your city, your state, you know.
It's so interesting that you say that because I've never been the one to practice like Kwanzaa, you know, those initiatives and wear the kente cloth and be very Africanized because I was born here, I was raised here, I'm Americanized, right? But there is something to what we lost for the sense of community that Africa still has.
Yes.
Where they believe in that sense of community. Everybody knows everybody in their community. Everybody knows that if something's happening to your neighbor, that we're going to go assist them and try to keep them and put them back up to where they were until they can sustain themselves.
And it's just organic.
And it's organic, exactly. It's just organic. And it's that respect for the mother. Like everybody respects a mother. If you find out that's your friend's mother, then it's all, you know, that's my mother.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And we've lost that because we've become so Americanized.
Exactly.
And it's not a problem that we're Americanized. It's just that we should still be taking back, essence.
Bring it together. Bring it together because of the fact that
implanting it into our Americanization. Don't Americanize just to Americanize. Americanize with the benefit of your culture.
Right. Absolutely. Ooh, that's good. That's good. B tip of the week. That's good. That's another B tip of the week, y'all. And so even to add to that you even think about and I'll say like Americanized, right, Africans, that or just period, like they're just will joke about their culture, right, as we all do. So they'll joke about their culture, and so one thing I've seen consistently joked about directly from their culture, and I'm saying there, and I'm only distinguishing between us for the moment, but they'll talk about, you know, like, ooh, growing up, you know, with African parents or with the African mother, that you can't tell them nothing, and you know they gonna tell us, and so there's still that respect there, and so it's because of like a fear or whatever the case may be, or because that is the culture of I'm gonna give respect regardless, and so it does not give the idea of the freedom that we have here that we do exercise of like, hey, if you're wrong, even as my mother, as I preach a lot here, so that's why I had to bring this point up, that you know, so it's always the balance, is bringing those two together to be able to say, listen, I can, because I'm thinking about, as you were talking, it had me thinking about the fact that how you just talked about the fact and dropped a jewel on us that, you know, for those of us that may not have known that, that, you know, we were not necessarily, they didn't come over and steal us, that we were given away, basically sold away, right? There was a trade, the trade, there's some selling.
That's why it was called the slave trade.
Okay, right. So I just had to help somebody out there that was struggling with that. And so whereas you drop that jewel, and then now the latter part of this conversation of saying that they still hold, which is very true, they still hold that sense of community. And so it clicked something in my brain of just like, wow, that's crazy, because I'm sure somewhere they know that part of the history too. And I wonder how that feels on that end, to be like, dang, how kings and queens did that? Like, that's just how I would feel. And so I'm not saying that they feel that way, but so to think of that and to understand that they still overcome that, to be like, hey, we messed up, but we still got the sense of community. Like, we still gonna respect each other. Like, it's just what it's gonna be.
Now, it's not to say that there wasn't a theft, because you were stolen from your family.
Right.
Yes.
Still, yes.
You were stolen from your family, but you were not stolen from the nation. That's the point that I'm making.
That
was stolen from your family, yes, because your kings and queens said you are now ordered to leave.
And that's the point, y'all. Oh my goodness, that is such a good point, that I am always the person, and this is how I'm going to generalize this for anyone that's just like, all right, slave talk, okay, I get it. But sometimes it gets heavy, and you be like, So let's generalize this of.
It's actually interesting to me.
And me too, but I just you know, I consider all folks, right? And so. For anybody that's just like, okay, can we? So because just to generalize it for a second, though,
you can fault the kings and queens for stealing, you know, for giving you away. Yeah. But they didn't. You can't.
But that's what I was.
You don't know what the end result was going to be. They didn't know.
Where you have to, what you have to do in everything. That's the only reason why I say I'm generalizing. In everything, you have to, I carry myself in a way of this, that, okay, so if you hear of, and not a big gospel, not about gospel at all, I don't have time. Like, just people, of course you hear it, it's brought to you at times, but either way, so in a scenario of where there's gossip, right? You overhear it, or it's brought to you, whatever the case may be, that, you know, one, y'all know what I love to preach, mind your business. I can mind my business even if the business is right in front of me. Present it to me on a silver platter, I can mind it. And so, but the fact that you choose to, or you know what, let's take it out of the gossip, boom. So you have an issue, right? If it's a messy situation with who you're dating, let's talk about that. And so if it's cheating, because unfortunately it's the most common issue, one of the most common issues. And so in the dating world, and so you think about the fact that, you know, okay, your partner, right? Your significant other, your special person, your sneaky, whatever, has cheated on you. And so, of course, there are all these other questions that come to mind for me. Like, well, did y'all ever establish, you know, the fact that this is a no-no? I mean, just saying, because it's just best to talk about some things so that way, you know, you have it on record, even if it's verbal record. If you want to write it down too, that's good for you. But the point is that it's always about getting to the point of where to point the blame, right? So we have watched plenty of shows, plenty of TV, plenty of movies where, you know, I know it happens, but not necessarily that is ever perpetrated as much as it is on one end of the other, of where the woman, right? So if the woman is cheated on, that we see the too many scenarios where the woman then has an issue with the other woman. And so I always have an issue with that. It's like, well, this woman owes you nothing. This woman, you should have no trust in this woman. You didn't know this woman before she was, you know, connected to you and brought to you by way of your partner, your man, right? And so where
committed to one of them.
Exactly. Where do you place the blame, right? So it even goes back to this scenario, or not scenario, but, you know, to our history of where we're placing blame. That is where if we start to chisel at that, and I mean chisel at it, like not, we almost really need to be cracking it by now, but you know, we're at the baby steps of a lot of things, and that's why we all feel so overwhelmed and overworked, just mentally and spiritually, of trying to just bring ourselves to do the work that's necessary to get us to a place where we ought to be. That, you know, we need to chisel at the idea of correctly, appropriately, and properly placing the blame, because life is a blame game. And I'm the person that said it plenty of times, like, I don't like to play the blame game. Unfortunately, that's just where the blame is to lay, right? Because if I've done something, if the blame is to be placed on me, place it on me. And then allow me the space and place and time to work through that, right?
So you know what's interesting when we say that?
What's that?
Because then why wouldn't you take the blame? Why wouldn't you lay the blame at, right? Get into this. They never came to get you. You didn't see one boat hit our harbor of them coming to pick up any Africans that came over on those boats.
And don't tell me we had
ever.
Don't tell me we couldn't build it. Don't tell me we
couldn't. They had to hear through a grapevine, through a rumor, through a suggestive note, that torture was happening to their subjects across the seas.
Yes. And tell me somewhere that somebody said, dang, I didn't know they was gonna go through that. Okay. And then what's to do there, right? Like you said,
because some of that trade they got was education, was translation. You know, because they didn't speak English. English wasn't their first language. They had to get taught that language. Most of them moved to England to go to school. Because they started to be colonized. That's, like I said, this was the slave trade. There was trade. There was knowledge trade. There was money trade. There was all of that. There was trains built. There was all of that. There was homes, and they taught you how to do plumbing and all that kind of stuff in Africa. But you never came back to get your people. So who's the blame here? And now you don't. And now you so Americanized that you don't never want to go back.
And you can't tell me that that's not where farther than that, you know, biblically. But either way, that you can't tell me that that's not where we get the notion of fighting so easily, fighting against each other. because it's somewhere I'm blaming you, even beyond on the plantation where we're talking about colorism, right? Before, even prior to that we're talking about, that I feel as though I saw, because somewhere somebody knew, like somebody knew the king or the king's or the royal the court's, I don't know, representative or whomever that may have said, oh, hey, come on over here, colonizers, come on over here, white folk, come get, here they are, right? So somewhere, and I could be that person that knows you, that you know, you're my cousin or something, and you work for the courts or whatever, and that that something didn't happen that you know about, and somehow now I know that I'm just being locked together, shackled, and put on this boat and treated horribly. So either way, there's somebody that has connected that, and that has been passed on, to understand that there's somewhere where I looked at my person that looks just like me, that I might have been, you know, went over to grandma's house, and, you know, I'm Americanizing it now, but we, you know, me and all my cousins, we were over there, staying the night at grandma's house and watch movies and all that. We were,
because now you see it. You see it, especially from Nigeria, where they come here for the purpose of education.
Right.
You know, most of them want to be either doctors or lawyers. So they come over here for the purpose of the education system, for because we have the greatest legal and medical education.
It's supposed to
that
take
is
it back.
Hands down undeniable.
Absolutely.
This country has the best medical and legal education.
That is why I hate when people try to shoot down America. Like, I get it. Like, we can, it's one of the, like, I used to be a lot more patriotic than I am now. I will admit that, but it's still, I feel like it's a balance even in that, because again, I am African descended, American, right? Like, I'm an American. And so I think we fail to realize that there's technically nothing wrong with having a sense of pride in where you are from. We are from America. Like you just said, I was actually pleasantly surprised to hear you say that. Like, you know, I don't practice anything as an American, but not that you're bashing it, but okay. Like it just, it's common, right? And it's kind of okay because
we lost it.
And it's because we lost it. And it takes more work to be like, okay, let me go pick it up and do it, and to keep it up, and we research and make sure I'm doing it correctly and all of that. And it doesn't knock that, because that's a beautiful thing. But that is probably, and is why a lot of us do not, because even myself, as much as I, you know, just I'm here for us and all that, I don't. You would think that I was the number one person practicing Kwanzaa. No, I'd be Christmasing it up, right? And so, and I don't. It's not even that I mean to pick and choose, you know, where I'm American, where I'm not, but I allow it to blend, because that's why I'm blended. I'm mixed, baby. Like, I'm an African American, and so that being said, so it's just like there's somewhere where someone saw that, you know, I knew I felt as though you were on my side, on this side, but you seem to be now over there, that there's a divide I was unaware of, and I am now being sold into slavery by my own kind. And so there's that mental, you know, distinction of like, bro, I hate you. Like, do you even know? Like, I'm over here. I can't text you and tell you what's going on. I can't, you know, send an email. Like, there's no way for me to tell you this, but now I have built this hatred against you as my own people. And you can't tell me that there's nothing worse than building a hatred or a strong dislike against someone that you never wanted to dislike, that you never wanted to unlove, that you never wanted to hate. Like, bro, I hate the fact that I have to hate you. I hate the fact that I have really no real reason to like you, beside, you know, for being a Christ believer, knowing that Christ is love and Christ is within me, and so I have to love. I am love. I do love, right? And so, but beside that, it's just like, bro, like, if you've given me no reason, sometimes it's a lot easier to choose to dislike you. And it's whether, you know, it's on me, or whether I act upon that, or if I just let it be. And so again, why, just with the point which you made of just like, again, of the placing the blame and asking that question of, one, the light bulb going off of understanding that it was not, and you're right, thank you for correcting me, that it was not only that they came to snatch and steal us, but it was, you know, a trade. And so that, you know, there was some participation of folks that look like us, basically. And a lot of us did not and do not know that. Now, and so in knowing that, then we can't place the blame to say that you didn't come to get us, but that is an eye-opening question, an eye-opening prompt. And so here we are, that we hate each other, basically, and we don't even know why, that's why we hate each other. Like, come on, cut it.
Now, can you answer this question? How can you be mad at the kings and queens for trading you, okay? Because you were currency to others. because that's how currency works.
Right, because it's business minded.
Currency, only recognized currency can be used as money. It has to be recognized okay, as currency. They seen our strength, they seen our abilities, they seen our agility. Because we were agile.
Absolutely.
That was what we were.
Absolutely.
Training for no reason. They saw the potential for us to be maximized workers. Plow your lands, we don't have to do it because we want to be fat, white, and lazy.
Right. We were good businessmen.
That was what they wanted to be.
We were good businessmen and women. And
they wanted to be taken care of and not do no work. That's what we all strive to. We all strive for that now as Americanized people. As Americanized people, we strive to not do work.
Absolutely. I get jealous. I get jealous.
So that's why. So the question was: can you blame the kings and queens of Africa for using the currency that was recognized by others to better improve their lives, their situation? So what they gained from that, like I said, is education. They gained education. They gained riches. And, they gained something.
Like there was it was a trade. I'm never going to say fair. Right. I can't use the word fair because we think morals. But that there it is. So that's in my response. So my answer to that is no. I cannot blame them. And of course I do have a but. But then the question, what the conversation shifts to about morals, right? And so that morals, have to be defined by certain people.
Morally, yes, it's totally wrong.
Right, exactly. Right. So that's it. So that's why I just, I have to integrate that in my response. But honestly, no, because I am the person, literally, I will watch something, see something, and be like, you know what? That's a good business move. It doesn't mean I agree, but I can see it in the realm of business and to understand that if your point and your goal is to maximize, dividends, and if it's to maximize, everything and everything that you're putting into, if you want all profit, just whatever, then yeah, if you want something back, it doesn't even matter if it really, or there it is. So the question about morals, and then just when it comes to business anyway. So be careful who y'all land down with. And now I'm not knocking anybody. A lot of us are, delved into, entrepreneurship and all this, especially during the pandemic season and all. But be careful. Don't just be so turned on to the fact like, hey, I'm so glad he or she or they got their own business. Oh my gosh, listen, not everybody is a good businessman. Not everyone is a good businesswoman or questionable. Okay.
And then get into the propaganda that we're sold about Africa.
Okay. So here's the thing.
We believe as Americanized Black people that they live over there in squalor, that everything is hut driven and dust covered and dirt, and you're dirty. You walk there, you got to go to get you get your water. That is happening in some places in Africa.
Right. It's happening, but it's not everywhere.
Of Africa, not everybody.
We believe that's everywhere
out of a dysentery stream. That's not what happened, and they have been trying to tell us this.
They have for a while. And they have
we have plumbing, we have toilets, we have electricity, we have these things, we have schools.
We're people.
Oprah was not the first person to bring schools over to Africa.
Right. Come on. Right. And so you think of like socially when we talk about like, oh, Africans be over here and be like, oh, they seem like they hate us or whatever. And it'd be like, rightfully so. It's like, I've been trying to tell you, bro. Like, what's up?
I tell people all the time, I'm never going to Africa. I'm never going to Africa. But it wasn't because of plumbing. It wasn't because of no electricity. It's because of the lions, tigers, and bears. Okay? I'm not going to get eaten.
Look at me. I'm like, oh.
I don't have to worry about that walking down the streets when I go to the corner store here. I'm not going to get eaten by a bear or a lion.
Well, no.
I got a better chance of getting shot.
Right. Shut up. Not better chance. But yes. Correct. No rebuttal.
There, I can walk down turn around the corner at the wrong tree.
Okay.
And become Simba's meal.
Yes, Simba. It's literally my foot is resting on Sydney's little ride on Simba. That is hilarious. But yes. I mean, absolutely. And it just...
That's what I'm scared of. People feel like it's not that common that you get eaten by a lion. Okay, I can submit to that. But however, it'll be my luck.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, just for it to be the possibility. The risk of I get it. I hear you. Trust me. Be like, I know you are. What happened to Marty?
They can see in the dark. I can't.
Right. How about right? Okay, y'all know I'm clumsy. Y'all know I'm clumsy. You know how to trick.
Give me an elephant to sit on. Then we can talk.
Come on.
I can see
And then it messed my head up that y'all done told me that when we go to Bali and all that, that was always my dream. Go there and ride on the elephant, that hurts them. So I was like, oh God, I can't even.
Yeah, it does hurt my back.
Like, come on now. Y'all know I ain't trying to hurt no animal now.
Except for the ones that want you to ride, because there's some of them that actually want you to, create that little step on their foot to help you get up. Some of them want you on them.
Listen, I don't know.
But that's the ones that love you. Did you see that meme? I mean, that brings up that meme that I think it was a video, a reel, not a meme, of the jealous elephant.
I know, crying.
The owner was playing with another elephant and get ready to get on the other elephant's back, and the other and his true defender came running over there and tried to force him. You can't ride him, you ride me, and made the man get off of the elephant and get on him instead. It was so cute.
Please send that to me.
I gotta find it.
Eat it up, okay. Crying.
Oh, but here's another thing I wanted to mention before we go. The show Bob Hart's Abishola. It comes on, I think, ABC.
Bowie. Okay.
It's either ABC or CBS.
Okay.
It's about a white man and a Nigerian woman falling in love, getting married, and living life together. So it's going through the cultures of being with a Nigerian woman who is so with her, she's a registered nurse currently, but she's in medical school to become a doctor. So he has to fit into that logic. And he's rich. He has a sock empire. The white man has a sock empire, so she would have never had to work up a day in her life if she didn't choose. But that's not the Nigerian culture. Everybody has to be educated. And that's point blank, period. So they got married in Nigeria. So the whole entire cast went over to Nigeria for them to get married and all that kind of stuff. So that's a good show to look at when you're looking at what African culture is like today and what they strive to benefit.
That's placed in the setting is in Nigeria, or are they here?
No, they're here. They're in Detroit. They live in Detroit.
Detroit. Wow. Okay. Okay.
But the show is about a white man falling in love with a Nigerian woman.
Got it.
And then having to fit those cultures together, the white culture and the Nigerian culture, and the respect values and all that kind of stuff, and how you can't talk back to your mother and all that kind of stuff. You can't talk back to auntie and uncle.
Nobody.
Because that's true. That's the epitome of disrespect and all that kind of stuff. And I dig it. I dig it.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a great comedy. It's a very funny show.
Oh, hilarious. So it's that's good. Okay. That's cute. I like that. Okay.
Because when you think about some Nigerian, comedy period from Africa, it's sometimes hilarious.
Listen, they're little, was it their soap operas or something like that? I would call them soaps. So it'd be like,
that little Nigerian girl that will always talk back.
I gotta think about it.
She'd be like, auntie. When she talking to our relatives.
You got a couple things to send me because I'm never hip, so you gotta let me know. Listen.
This was a great discussion though.
No, you took the words out of my mouth. That's all I was about to say is that I really appreciate. So one, I was about to shout you out anyway and let y'all know, listen, y'all ever need some good TV, like before I get to the discussion part, y'all ever need any good TV, movie, like suggestions, trust me, you want to hit up a producer Monty. I promise you. Like, he legit will put you on to something real good.
I like entertaining television. I do.
Listen, and I appreciate you for it, okay? Because I do as well.
I think somebody should probably have me. I'm going to talk to Nate about that. Maybe he should have me on his little binge-worthy podcast about TV.
Absolutely.
I love TV.
Look,
I dissect what they're talking about with real life.
Right. And I can definitely appreciate it. I think whenever I was really into watching TV, I never really had that's like to, dissect it and all that. So I think
because I get bored fast.
Right.
And I need to be able to dissect the show because if it's something stupid like damn, I don't have anything in
because you always watch
it right now.
Right. Because
I know there's some shows that I watch the first episode and be like, oh, I'm not watching this no more.
Okay. Got it. See?
Another good show, just in case y'all haven't been watching it, the 4400 with this black cast. Y'all better get on it on the CW.
Okay, come on now. Thank you. See? So
the original 4400 wasn't a black cast.
Oh.
This one has a nice plethora of black people in it, and it's worthy watch. It's a worthy watch about time travel and pulling people from all dimensions to bring them back to 2021 and see how the results happen.
Oh.
It's a good it was a good show. The original was a great show,
okay.
but I think this one is even better because it's now involving the Black culture, our fight, because it brought people from like 1950,
okay,
or even earlier, the 1800s, when you had no power, you couldn't even become a doctor, but you had the knowledge base of a doctor. Like one of the guys is a transgender doctor from like the 1800s.
Oh.
How do you become transgender 1800s? I have no idea.
Right. Like, look, I was about to say they made those in the 1800s. Go ahead.
Yes. And he was a doctor. He was actually I can't remember the disease he actually cured. He was responsible for curing back in the 1800s, but it was something big that we don't suffer from right now. But he didn't get the credit. His white counterpart got the credit.
Wow.
And he was put in there like as a footnote. No, he was put in there like it's a teaching assistant. Like he was in school to learn, but he was actually the one that came up with the ingredients to cure the disease.
Wow.
It's a really good show. The 4400 is on the CW.
Thank you. Telling y'all, get into it. You're welcome. Trying to tell y'all, I don't share them with everybody. Okay. Just saying, I even fight with my own sister and tell her that he's no longer her baby. He's mine. So, the boy is mine. The boy is mine. Moving on. So on top of all of that, by him being an amazing TV and movie suggester, right? That it's discussions like this that I really, really, really enjoy, enriching, enlightening, necessary, right? Because what we talk about here often is that we have to get into these uncomfortable conversations. The crazy part is, truth be told, because he already made the statement earlier, and I agreed then, like briefly, and I knew I was going to get back around to it, that it wasn't uncomfortable. Right. I actually enjoy having these discussions and having these types of talk because it's a part of our culture. Like we talk about for the culture so much. We are so against.
And it's about understanding. Culture. It's about understanding.
Like
that you gotta figure out. You really need to figure out who you want to blame.
That's it.
For the way you are.
That's it.
For who you are.
I was about to say, and who you are. Right. So which one do you do first?
Because how can you first? You're the only one that can make a decision for yourself on what road you're going to take.
That's it. And so even if it's us individually figuring out who we are and who to place the blame as a community, we don't have to say, Monty, I do not have to say that we're placing the blame in the same place, because maybe you find out from your own, y'all, on my birthday list. Shout out to the fact that my birthday's coming up. On my list of things of like the old ladies will probably ask for their birthday, but one of them is the fact that I really am going to get serious about doing my African ancestry. Like,
subliminally, you have to really realize that there were steps taken decades, centuries, millennia ago that brought you to this point.
How about that?
Because every decision that was made in the past is a decision that made you get to right where you are.
Exactly. And why would you want
those decisions? You wouldn't be here.
Why would you not want to know that? If you can, I could see if it was totally impossible for us to find that out and figure that out, but it's not.
That someone said, I think it was a porn star, but someone said it. You could have easily had been in a napkin.
Okay.
You could have easily been in a paper towel. You could have easily been swallowed, but you're here.
Now that's a beautiful Father's Day card.
But it is. And it's your choice, but it was their choice that made you. That now you have choices to make the future happen.
Absolutely.
Because without today and right now, there will be no tomorrow.
Come on, that's good. Talk about it. Listen, I gotta
stop thinking about. I wish people stop taking, the Bible. So, what's the word I want to say? Shoot. Where they always say, that the Bible repeats itself.
Okay.
No, it's not repeating itself. You're in a new different age. This is a different age. This is a different time. What happened then is what happened then. It's not repeating itself. You're bringing it back full circle with your decisions.
Very, very true. And more so the fact that, and again, because even someone else, a great preacher recently said, he said, even if you're asking, like in the place of like praying for blessings, right, that you don't really want to, and a lot of people, I don't think really want to hear this, but I heard it with my whole spirit, that you don't even want to say, Lord, do it again. Right? You don't want God to do what it is that he's done for you again. It is the fact that you want him to make great moves for you, just as he has done before, to do that again, right? To do something great again, not the same great thing that he's already done. So in the same way, it's like when we talk about the Bible, that the word is alive. And so it's living. Just as you go back and read, you can read the same scripture and get something different from it almost every time.
Those decisions that were made that you thought were so great also had a whole entire slew of effects that were terrible for people. Just because you think those benefits were good for that particular moment, those same decisions that were made for that great benefit made a counter effect that was negative to a whole host of others that you don't see.
Yeah. And you either don't want to acknowledge it or recognize it, whatever the case. But I tell you right now, ignorance is no longer bliss. Let me say it again. Ignorance is no longer bliss. I know that we have said it. I feel like I haven't even heard the phrase and heard that in a while. And I'm glad not to hear it because it's no longer solidified.
I know you can wrap this up, but let me tell you, I got one example that is really great for this discussion right now. We all came together, voted for Biden, but then we all put our hands down and thought he was supposed to do this by himself.
Be our white savior.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it ain't got nothing to do with this whiteness, but it was like you wanted a savior, you voted him in office, and then you said, okay, let him do it.
Yeah.
No.
And the reason why I said white savior,
fight for yourself.
Right. The reason why I said white savior, one, is because of when we touched on the fact of just how, we were lied to and Christianity was introduced as not, and I would never denounce the fact of that is my truth. Right. And so, but just mere fact of just how it was introduced. Oh, it's this white man that saved us. Right. And so that adoption, right. And conditioning, but then even more so, then you had the I was gonna say divine, but the divide, right? The split of those of us that, either during the time or now well after of Obama's administration, right? Of being like, oh, what did he do? I can't believe it. So it's like, in a sense, there were a lot of us that felt like, you know what, give it back to the white man, because he didn't have it all the time anyway. The black man do nothing for us, so give it back to him. You can't tell me that there's not a part of that mixed in somewhere. And so then we got
and that's the funny part about it, because I have never ever been treated so well by Obamacare in my life.
You understand me?
I mean, I wish it had a dental component, but
listen, okay, but I will tell you, if that's what I have to do to listen, I will, yes, please, right? Like, come on now. So it's just like, listen, and I'm not saying it doesn't mean to settle, but in America, it is, and just who we are in America, it is almost like because we know already politics and all that is just about, who gets what, how much of what, and who's.
But the responsibility still lies with the citizens for the results that came out of it. Because that's where I was going. Did not support Obama wholeheartedly in every motion and a tactic that he tried to do, then you are responsible for his downfall. Absolutely. If you don't believe he did anything, it's because your representatives did not do what they were supposed to do in lines of the president.
Yeah.
Because that's what I hate about this congressional and legislature setup that we have here, because there's too many cooks. Too many cooks.
How about that?
One representative per state is enough. Let's get 100 people. You get 150 senators, 50 this, and let's 500 people trying to make a bill go across. It's too many goddamn people.
Absolutely, too many different.
And it's taking too much time and too many different mindsets and too many different this and too many different that. But that should have been able to been fixed on a state, local level.
Absolutely.
Because we shouldn't be always dependent on Congress to make decisions for a whole country when you got a state and a city and a state and a local level.
Yes.
We don't want to get in. We don't want to get involved in our even local stuff.
That is it. It's always been easier just to put the blame. Even I've said that, like, it's in a sense, like and this is just my personal life, but I prefer really to put the ball in your court. It's something simple, like, hey, when are we gonna get together for lunch? Hey, you let me know. Like it is naturally easier to let someone else, do it. But when it comes to things like serious matters, come on now.
Why are we waiting for the government, the top level of the government to do that when we can start slowly and then do it by example from our local level and then pass that on state to state to state?
And this is how we tie it to the very beginning.
It becomes a governmental law.
This is how we tie it into the very beginning of our discussion, right before we get out of here, I swear, is the fact that we talked about reparations and me always believing and saying that people did not want to hear that. Why is it that we are sitting around waiting for the man, right? Mm-hmm. Uncle Sam, whomever, however you refer to him as, waiting for him to give us handouts. Right. That is what we're doing.
That leads us back to the question. What is it that you want?
There it is. On that note, this was good. Y'all, listen, if you're not revved up by the end of this discussion, I really don't know where you got your brown and black skin from. I don't know, because these are the types of things that we should be sitting around and discussing and also getting to some type of resolve. I think that the resolve here, which is always the goal, but the resolve here for sure tonight was for it to be so thought-provoking for you to really question yourself. I'm not even looking for you to jump right into the saddle of having this discussion with other folks just yet. Question yourself the very things. Go back and re-review. Yes, I said re-review, so redundant intentionally. To re-review the questions and prompts and discussion topics that we have covered tonight. Ask yourself these things. Write them down. Think about them and then bring them to, someone else. Just here and there. Just kind of add another person, another soul, another thought, to the discussion and get to a place where, at some point you'll walk away with something. When you find it empty, go to someone else. Do not let this conversation die. Okay? Too many of our ancestors have died in vain. Okay? So there's enough death that has happened within our community. And I think, especially in this season, I think we're a little overdone. Okay? We understand it's a part of life and there's a space and place for us to embrace it, but it does not have to be in vain. I think vain death is probably one of our greatest downfalls. And so with that being said, without further ado, I will let you all go for the evening. I appreciate you. It is because this conversation and discussion was so good that I was able to last this long. I'm so grateful. It revitalized my spirit and my sense of belonging and community. Okay. And so I love you. Happy Black History Month. Stay Black, stay proud. 365 and 66 on leap years. And if ain't nobody else told you, man, say it loud. I'm Black and I'm proud. Until next week. Peace.